What's going on, everybody? Patrick Auger and Matthew Wells here for the Body Lock. And today we're talking about Islam Makhachev. Could he one day be UFC lightweight champion? So if you missed UFC 259, Islam Makhachev took on Drew Dober, put on a masterclass. Some of those trips were, if you didn't like grappling, watch that fight and you will start to learn to love grappling because those trips were slick as hell. He just dominated every which way. Dober couldn't do anything. Ended up getting choked out in the third. Matt, what did you think of Makhachev's performance, and where do you see him going? Do you think, a lot of people are saying he might be champ. Do you think he could actually be champ of the stacked lightweight division in the UFC?
Yes, at some point he can absolutely be a champion of this division because mainly because he's 29 years old. So he's got a lot of time. A lot of turnover can happen throughout his career, depending on how long he sticks around. Unless, he decides to just, leave before people are done with him, like Khabib has, done. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But yeah, he absolutely has the skills to do so. It's just the matchups and getting there and the time frame that we're looking at before it actually happens. His skill set, man, is impressive, and it's the skill set that really does dominate the lightweight division. Heavy wrestling, forward pressure, good striking as well. He looked really impressive in this fight, and it really was a big moment for him because coming in to that week, a lot of people were talking about, hey, Khabib's gone now. It's your time. It's your time, Islam. You got to go out there and stake your claim, hold it down for the Dagestani side of the world over there. And he did exactly that. And he looked in physical shape. Like, I think that's the most shredded he's been. Like, it looked like he added more muscle too. Like, he just looked in phenomenal shape. Went out there, put on a hell of a show. That submission from half guard, the arm triangle from half guard, that squeeze is serious, man. So yeah, I'm very impressed with him right now. And I think it's just a matter of time before he absolutely gets the title shot.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Khabib is gone. He's retired. Unless we hear differently, he's not coming back. And there is now a void there, which Islam has certainly seemed to fill. He's got that style, that just overwhelming pressure style that Khabib also had. And yeah, the submission from half guard was insane. He looks like not an exact replica of Khabib because his style is a little different, but someone who's kind of taken Khabib's game plan, modified it to be his own, and now is just running through people. And yeah, after that performance, I don't know how you can't say he's going to at least get a title shot. He is young. I will say I'm leaning a little bit more on the side of cumulative fights for fighters in terms of age, right? If you get to a certain number of fights, and especially if you take a certain amount of damage, I don't think age matters as much, depending as, really just how long you've been fighting and putting your body through that. But in Makhachev's case, he's only lost once. He looks phenomenal. Like you said, looks like to be in the best shape of his life. I think he's got at least 3 or 4 good years, if not, 6 to 7, as, being in the lightweight division and being a major threat. And when I look at the rest of the division, yeah, I think he's got a very good shot at this. I don't know when it'll happen, but I'm not going to be shocked at all if we see Makhachev with a belt around his waist, whether that be 2 years, 3 years from now, or even sooner if he continues to fight, more often than he has been. So with that in mind, we're both agreed we could see the belt around his waist. We think he might become a champion. Who do you want to see him fight next? He's called out a couple of people, Tony Ferguson, RDA. Anybody catch your eye, or any matchup that you particularly want to see here?
You know what? I think that I like both of those names for him just to see where he stacks up against both. But I think it makes the most sense for Tony Ferguson to take that type of fight right now because it's a guy that's further down in the rankings, although we have him pegged as a guy that's going to, be at the top of this division in the near future. Versus some of the other guys around him, like Paul Felder, who's ranked above. We don't necessarily agree that Paul Felder is going to shoot up the rankings, right? Paul Felder's kind of in that range. Like, he's in that 6 to 10 range. Same with Diego Ferreira, unless if he's able to just put something together here in the near future too. Kevin Lee can always bounce around or turn around and just streak back up to the top. He's got that dynamic skill set too. But I think he's in that range where it's like, okay, let's test your skills right now, see where you're really at. Are you going to really reach the top of this division soon, like this year? Are you going to start making that push this year? Or if a guy like Tony Ferguson can beat you, then we have to, look at a little bit longer time frame. And depending on how that fight plays out, it could be a loss that where he looks good, but it makes more sense from Tony Ferguson considering Tony Ferguson's losing streak right now. So I think that would be the best possible matchup. And I think the rankings make sense on that as well. RDA is a good fight for him, but RDA, I want to see RDA in a better stylistic matchup, than that. Although I do like the call outs. I like when guys absolutely have names ready. And he had those two to go to, but the Tony Ferguson one makes sense more to me because I also want to see how he deals with that kind of just crazy style of Tony Ferguson, where it's like, you know what, I'm willing to get hit in here to make stuff happen. So I want to see how he deals with that because that's a real true test before you start getting into the Michael Chandlers and the Oliveras and the Gaethjes. That's just another tier above where Tony Ferguson is right now. So I think that's the perfect matchup right now.
Yeah, I love the Ferguson matchup. I think that makes a lot of sense based on where Ferguson is and where Makhachev is, especially if they want to kind of speed line him to getting into title contention and then, duking it out with the elite at 155 in order to see who's going to end up with the belt. It makes a ton of sense, especially with, Tony's crazy style. I think it would be a great match and really, as you said, show where Makhachev is. Another name, though, that you did mention as a little bit of tier above Tony, but I would personally love to see, just because that stylistic matchup for me is just too juicy, is Michael Chandler versus Islam Makhachev. Now, he did come in. He flash KO'd Dan Hooker. He's definitely, at this point, in that title mix talk already. I get that. But I would love to see that fight. And if, for whatever reason, if people are booked up, if dates can't work out, what have you, and you end up booking that to me, that's a real good test for both those guys, I believe, right? We know Michael Chandler is an elite fighter. We've seen him over in Bellator. A lot of people said, oh, I'm coming over from Bellator. Who knows how well you stack up against UFC? I think he proved that to all of us. That's, that's hands down. Anybody that was doubting Chandler now knows he's at that level. But Makhachev is that style that I don't know that Chandler's really fought in quite a while, right? He hasn't fought somebody with that type of wrestling game since maybe, I don't know, maybe Alvarez? Maybe that's too far back. I'm trying to think of anyone else, but I think that matchup would be amazing. I'd love to see that fight. So for me, Tony Ferguson, I'm with you, makes the most sense. But if you want to go a little crazy, I'd say why not Michael Chandler? So with that in mind, make sure you like this video, hit the subscribe button. If you haven't done that already, hit the bell notification button so you know when we're dropping new videos. And leave comments. Who do you want to see Makhachev fight next? Do you think he's going to end up with the strap around his waist to 155? It's a stacked division. He's going to have to go through a lot of killers, but he certainly looked like he could pull it off. Matt, and any final thoughts on the surging contender that is Islam Makhachev?
My only thoughts is that I think Habib, and being close to Habib, obviously, is going to help him with the fast track this time around, because if this was Habib all over again, he would have to probably take 5 more fights before he gets into a title picture, right? But I think that the UFC has recognized that, hey, this type of fighter can absolutely just draw people in and run this division. So I think that's going to help him. I like I said, I think if he doesn't get that Tony Ferguson fight, he's going to get somebody in that 4 to 6 range. I think obviously it won't be a counter fight, but I mean, it actually could be. That would be an interesting little sidebar. You take on Habib's buddy, and if you beat him, Conor can get on the mic and call out Habib, and UFC would love that. Draw Habib back in, but I think that's going to help him though, because they could be like, hey, look what Habib did, and Islam can be like, hey, I'm Habib again in this division, so yeah, just go ahead and give me that title shot whenever I'm ready for it. So I think that's one thing that can affect his matchmaking over the next couple of years.
Yeah, certainly. And I would just add to that, I hope he stays active. I know he's fought a couple times in 2019, a couple times 2018, didn't fight in 2020. I think that was partially due to visa issues and everything going on with COVID, but I hope he stays active, because if he does, I'm with you. I think he's got a clear shot to title contention coming up.